Good morning and welcome to Unlocking Freedom in Nature. And I'm excited to be here and I'm excited that you guys are here watching. Lori's running a little bit late, so she'll be on here soon. But I just wanted to say hi and welcome you to our show today. And be sure to share and like. And today we have Christopher here. So welcome,
Hello.
Christopher.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for having me. It's a pleasure and a great honor for me to be here today.
Yeah, and where are you coming from today?
I am here with you today from Sweden, about in the middle between Oslo, the capital of Norway, and Gothenburg, which is on the southwestern coast of Sweden. So somewhere there in the middle, and we've had our first day of snow today.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's yeah, I love it here. It's a wonderful place to live.
So now, is that in the mountains or more flat or hilly? Describe it for me, please.
Right. Okay. Um, there's Lori. Hey, Lori.
And then welcome,
Hello, how are
Lori.
you?
So let me describe this for you. Um, it's a very touristically interesting area. Lots of forest, uh, hilly, and many different kind of hills, and a lot of lakes. And it's a whole system of lakes that are connected with canals. So you can be on your canoe or boat on the water and go many miles without even the need to stop. So it's a wonderful system. You can be outside
Sounds beautiful.
for the whole summer, basically,
Wow.
out on the water.
Thank you for describing that because that actually
Mm.
sounds gorgeous. I'm surrounded up in the mountains with trees, and we have a lot of lakes here in our area as well. And we did
Mhm.
get, I guess it would be in our second snow the other day, but it's already melted off. But it's starting to snow more frequently, and probably in a few weeks it'll start sticking more.
Mhm.
So we're excited to see you, Glory. Welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Life is just great and exciting for me all the time. Every minute a
Wonderful.
surprise.
So, Christopher, tell us a little bit about kind of like where you've grown up and a little bit about your story, what you're doing, that kind of stuff.
Sure. So I was born in Germany in an industry city called Gießen, which lies about let's say 50, 60 miles north of Frankfurt Main, the bankers' city and seat of the European Central Bank. And I worked there as a banker, such a surprise. And I was in consulting a short while, and then without knowing at that time, I I think I experienced my first burnout. Um, and so I decided at that time I need to change something. So I usually do things from my stomach, from my gut feeling. So I thought, well, let's look at Sweden. I wanted something with nature, a lot of nature. Canada was too expensive and too hard to get into because I had this mind of, well, Canada has a lot of nature too. Of course, the States have that too. Yeah. So we moved, my then wife and I moved to Sweden, and we bought a small farm, um, and had two horses and five sheep and two cats and a dog and some chicken. It was wonderful. It was really so healing. It was really, I could land. I literally sat outside together with the sheep. I love sheep, by the way. They're so cuddly. And I was able to watch the grass grow. And this was so healing. And I've never experienced that before. And maybe I could add to that before I actually moved to Sweden, I was a tourist in Sweden, and I experienced something that was totally unknown of in Germany. You could be outside and listen and hear nothing but nature sounds. I wasn't aware of that before. Everywhere you are in Germany, you hear someone autobahn somewhere, or somebody mowing their lawn, or complaining.
Oh,
And
wow.
so here I could just be outside and hear the wind in the trees, water in the creek, and birds. And that was wonderful. So
Chris,
that was really, really great.
I could tell the difference between what I would call noise and sound. You describe
Hmm.
like the noises different than the sounds of nature. So it's just,
Yes, thank
yeah.
you for that. Yes, I really I see it the same way. Yeah, you're right. It's such a difference, and just allowing being there and without anyone pushing in any direction. That's wonderful.
Sounds have a connotation of like healing and melodic, a melodious sound of a bird
Hmm.
and the water and the wind versus, the noise that is just
Yeah,
distracting and overwhelming sometimes. So that's
yeah.
a good way to describe how you felt the difference and how you were enjoying the grass growing and the sheep.
Yeah.
Even when you said cuddly, it just sounds like there's a tenderness within you that you appreciate also nature for what it offers. So
Well,
Yes,
and when
yes,
you mentioned
really.
cuddling the sheep, it reminded me of a story. My grandparents actually had raised sheep, and in the
Yes.
wintertime, you'd get those bummer. And so we'd go over and help when that was lambing season, and you'd have to hold the baby lamb and feed it.
Hmm.
They'd use a 7-Up bottle with a nipple thing, make milk, and feed the baby lamb. So
Yeah.
yeah, they are cute. All animals are, I don't know, there's just something special about some of them. And you kind of get attached. It's like we're attached to our chickens, even, you know.
Yes.
So because they want to be petted. Well, it was partly my granddaughter's fault. She went like her rooster when it was born, once it was a baby, she'd take it and rock with it, swing with it every day.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I can understand why she did that, because she was swinging out with the birds singing in the trees, like you said, and just listening and taking in those moments. And I don't think people realize how important it is, not just for kids, it's for us as well. Like you said, just taking in all that nature has to offer, the
Yes.
silence, but it's yet, if you listen, you hear those chipmunks and birds and the stream,
Hmm.
the rustle of the leaves. But there's just something about that people don't realize until they experience it.
One
Exactly.
one of our viewers is saying that she's so happy she can do this in her backyard most of the time. Thank you, Suzanne, for sharing. And I said in the comments, tell us more. What is it that you do in your backyard? Because that will be
Yes.
amazing. I just sit and try to ground myself. And it's
Hmm.
so exciting just to look at the sky and the different blues and the clouds and things like that. So it's so exciting. And if you are watching this, tell us in the comment, what is it that you do in your backyard? How often do you go out there? I literally am not doing that a lot this week. I need to confess. And
Hmm.
I'm feeling the effects. So I need to take a time out and go out there and enjoy it purposefully and intentionally. So
Exactly. Yeah. And you will be able to manage with whatever was being thrown at you then, I'm sure, with the more power and inner energy you have.
So
And
are
this
you,
is a good point. I'm sorry,
I
Tammy,
was
go on.
I'm just gonna just ask you, are you still living on the farm?
I'm not living on the farm anymore. That farm was in northern Sweden, much colder and darker, and far away from here, about 550 miles up north.
Okay.
And so I moved a little further to the south 2.5 years ago, and to start a new life. This is like the third time in my life that I'm restarting my life. So I've become some kind of a new starter all the time. And I actually, it's a lot of work if I look back whenever this happened. But it's always been so great and interesting to start a new life, to start a new chapter, to throw overboard whatever you were carrying with you, and you see, okay, I don't need this anymore. Okay, I can give it away, and start a new chapter with new experiences, new teachings, new insights. So that's what I did 2.5 years ago, and it's I see what happened is the people that are living around me now, since this is a touristical area where many gravel cyclists and water sport enthusiasts come to visit in summer. People here are much more open and used to people from other countries and other experiences and other mentalities. So it's much easier for me to live here, I must say. And then it's not a city; it's far away from the next city. So I have the best of both sides. I experience. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I now live in a small house, no farm anymore. But the house, it's it's in a it's not even a village, I think. There are 3 houses that are permanently people are living in permanently, and it's Google doesn't find my house when I ask for directions, but I have a 100 megabit fiber connection here. So that's pretty interesting how that works.
Awesome. So a question for it. So how, for those that are watching
Hmm.
about starting over, I want you to share, it's like, as you know, it's when they're starting over, or if they're afraid to start over, what would you tell them?
A wonderful question. Thank you very much. And I see that it's many people are having this question in them, and pushing. They see something needs to change, but they're pushing this forward and forward and forward. Excuse me. Mm.
Especially with the burnout topic that you bring to the plate, like the burned out, and it's a
Yes.
follow-up question. Yeah.
Well, the short answer is life always continues. But when you're in the middle of whatever is flying around you, you often don't see it. You are in stress mode, and of course, when we're stressed, our brain shuts off whatever is not useful right now in what the brain thinks, because our brain is like 50,000 years old and it hasn't really developed since then, and we're fight or flight mode, and we shut off the prefrontal cortex, so which is our planning and reasoning part of the brain, and we don't think straight. We only react. But what we want to do is act. What are my goals? What do I want of life? What do I have to do to make the things happen, to get me out of here? Because such situations, whether if you're in a toxic relationship or on a workplace that you are really not thriving in, or whatever situation, if your financial situation is bad, and we're so stunned is that we can't take ourselves out of there often, because we can't see that the light in the tunnel. So that's so important to slow down our thinking machine up there, and for example, by going out into the into nature and just asking ourselves, what is it I really, really need? And overthinking, like in 99% of the cases, and overthinking won't help you. You won't get any good answers by that, right? So stop thinking for a moment and just be there, and then the right answers and the right solutions will come to you. I experienced that so many times. Things go on, your life goes on, and solutions emerge from nowhere. Suddenly they're there and you can just grab them, and I knew it.
So,
oh, excuse me, Laura, you can go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, your many one more guest that is with this resounding consistent message, instead of head centered, is what I call heart center. Like, go with your heart, go with what you've been suppressing and I don't know, denying and neglecting even. So that was just, instead of head center, heart center.
Wonderful. I love it.
Well, and last night this is funny, is I was watching a TV show and this young girl was asking, well, I think I have writer's block. I just can't think of anything. I'm not being creative. And the aunt or grandmother said, go outside, go do something creative, go do something fun. And then it hits you unexpectedly. If you're sitting there and just waiting for it, it's not going to happen. It's when you least think about it that all of a sudden it's there. Go and relax, go do something fun, inspiring, creative, or enjoy nature, So.
Right. And the bad thing is, we try to relax. Like, for example, many people relax, like they come home from work, get some food, put themselves in front of the TV, and then news come up. Oh my God, news. Constant stress, constantly. Traffic, especially in Germany, constant stress. You're in fight mode 100% of the time. Of course you get stressed. Of course you don't find good solutions. Of course your brain functions are shut off when you are experiencing long-term stress. That's so bad for everyone's health. So it's so important to do meaningful, I'm looking for the word,
meaningful activities, or
yeah, slowing down.
Slowing down, yes.
And just don't do nothing is very meaningful, right?
Being still is important too.
Yeah. Or like I was talking with someone yesterday, and I was like, we try to get you to go out in nature and not count your steps and not time yourself. We want to see you just enjoy. You can set that, but don't look at it. Or if you do take your phone, it's to take photos only. It's not to look at.
That's the only reason Tammy would approve of your phone
it's to
in
take
the wilderness.
Because sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, it's like there's like that perfect shot because there's or you want to record that bird singing for a later time that you can listen to it,
and bring nature home, right? Bring nature home. So, Mr. Christopher, let me ask you a question. Have you ever encountered someone or had an experience or known of an experience where the person is so out of touch with themselves that they don't even know they're undergoing burnout? They're done and they're tired with that routine and going through the motions, and they're so out of touch they don't even realize it. And what to do for those, for all of us to maybe have a self-evaluation moment and see, am I going through this? What are some common signals or that we can help understand, like, I think we're going through some burnout and I haven't
Mhm.
realized it.
Oh yes, I have met people like that. One of them is myself, and I must say, an eye-opening moment was when I read Chris Niebauer's book, No Self, No Problem. I loved that book, really, and I can only recommend it to anyone. It's he talks about the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, and the left hemisphere would like us to continue whatever we do, continue, continue, continue. No, we're not trying out something new here. No, no, let's stay in the stress mode because we're so familiar with that. This is a sort of a security for us. We know how it is to completely being drained by whatever we experience. And that's okay. Let's do that a little more. But it takes something really, an active action of ourselves or a good friend or a practitioner, a therapist, a coach, whatever, to drag you out of there if needed physically. Do nothing. Sit here for 1 minute right now to start with something small and do exactly nothing. How does that feel? And then become aware of what is happening in myself. What is happening with my thoughts? Is there a change? What would I like to would I like to keep from this for the future? What would I like to throw overboard? It's and I see that with clients too, that it's they're sometimes you feel the resistance from the client that no, I know something is wrong, but I have to do this over and over again because that's what I'm familiar with. I
So
think
do,
this
I,
is
I,
working, but it's
yeah,
clearly not.
I have a little theory on that. Is people say that, the comfort zone is not comfortable at all. It's just the known and familiar zone, like you said,
Yes.
and it's still painful and uncomfortable. And just
Hmm.
because we're so afraid of the unknown, we sometimes have a hard time making those decisions. I know when you say the word action, it involved take a very conscious decision to
Hmm.
change where you're at, to change what you're complaining about, to then move into something better and new. But it's so
Yeah.
unknown and unfamiliar that people are afraid to take those bold steps. So I
Yes.
I appreciate you mentioning that.
so do you ever
Yes.
think that it's partly you probably run into this, I'm guessing, is I'm assuming that your wife was totally on board with you, but then you have situations where the spouse or partner or a friend may be like, oh, there's nothing wrong, and they're like totally almost sabotaging your wanting to have that quiet or that change. Do you run into that with your
Oh
client?
wow. Where should I start?
I'm just
Um,
thinking of somebody that might be wanting to change or they've been trying to, and the fact is they're surrounded by somebody that's saying, "No, everything's perfectly fine. Don't do that. You don't need that change." Because I've been there. I've had people
yes.
say, "Oh, but you're making so much money. Why would you ever
Hmm.
give that up? You have this and this." And you're like, "But it is so much stress." And they don't get
Exactly.
it where you're coming from. And so
Hmm.
what would your advice be for that?
Can I don't
You
know
can
if tell me if it's appropriate or not. I had a friend once. She was in a very toxic relationship, violent, unfortunately, and she kept she kept it up. She kept it up because it was her world that she was familiar with. There was a lot of pressure from the outside, from his and her family, who weren't who didn't want to see the signs. Um, and it took a long while for her to realize, oh my God, this is bad. And she didn't want to see it. And a similar case, a client that uh, wants to break out of a relationship that she's not happy with. Uh, and then, oh no, I could wait a little longer. I wait until the children are growing up. I wait until this or that. So there's there's this this the black hole in you is growing and growing and taking over you, and the bad energies, and your unhappiness is growing and growing, and you don't even actually, you know why, right? But you don't want to see it. And then these peaks, and you're slashing out against your partner and against the children and against friends, because you actually know your friends, when they tell you, why not move on? You know they're right, but you don't want to hear it. So it doesn't help. So please, very good point, Tammy. It's so important to listen to others' signals, and to find the friends that are there for you, that can push you through, and that can hold your hand while going through this time of change. Yes, change. You never know what happens after in that change, and that's okay. This is again the left brain that wants to tell you, no, we're good, let's go on. But finding someone that is with you and supports you is so important, and listen to your heart again, and then do the right thing. And we know what's the right thing deep inside.
Right. Well, and one of the things I had told someone before was, this was the question I asked them, because like you said, I've known people, like women, that you just see them getting beat and they just keep going back and back and back to that same person or to another abusive situation. But what I told in a different situation that was more verbally abusive, I'm like, how would you feel if it was your child that was being yelled at or beaten?
Well, yes.
And, and because they don't think about that, because they're setting an example that either, whether it's for their child to endure that, instead of walking and saying, no, I'm good, I do not need to be abused, I'm beautiful the way I am, I'm wonderful. Yeah, I'm not perfect, but I don't need to be in an abusive situation. But it's amazing how many people, it's when you start twisting those words, thinking, it's like, because it's like people, I had read this article, or maybe it was a poem or something. It was like, the wife was being abused or beaten and stuff, and the dad was hitting her and stuff. And then they asked the dad, how would you feel if your daughter was being beaten like that? The way you treat your mom is the way your daughter is going to expect to be treated if she gets married, so
wow. Oh, thank you for this point. Yes, it's so impressive is the wrong word. It's fascinating how much we are programmed in our young years, even when still in the womb, how much we are taking in as children. And we're there, we're in the world, and we're recording all the time, right? We're recording our parents, how they treat each other. We're recording how the adults around us manage life and manage situations, and how the money talk is something that is often coming up in my meetings with the clients. How was the money talk in your childhood? And they carry that with them. They carry their relationship tools with them from their childhood into their own relationships, and they wonder, why doesn't this work? Because they're not able to see that connection in many times, or change them.
I think also this human nature that we have, that is nurturing, and we tend to want to take care of everybody, be the caretakers of everybody, and then without taking care of ourselves. We've said it many times too, that in the airplanes, they say in the flights, if there's an emergency, put the oxygen mask first. If you're not breathing, how can you serve others? How can you help others breathe if you're not breathing yourself? And that's a fascinating concept. And then we probably undergo that victim undergoes the abuse, whether that's emotional, physical,
Mhm.
because we think we can take it all. But when we realize, and I love what you're saying, Tammy, like we are enough. We are amazing enough to understand that we're not worthy of this behavior and we're worthy of
Mhm.
something else and something better, and to make those changes and those sacrifices. But again, we circle back to the known zone or the comfort zone because we're so afraid of the unknown that we hesitate to also make those decisions for our
Mhm.
well-being, but we need to protect and take care of everybody else. What happens sometimes too is that because we don't know how to take care of ourselves, we then don't take care of somebody else, but we think we are. We have the illusion
Mhm.
that we are for peace, but we are really not. But saying enough is enough and drawing that line and saying, no, I'm going to make a change. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, it causes a lot of problems because the family or the friends that were conditioned of you being a certain way and being treated a certain
Mhm.
way are not gonna like it.
Exactly. And if you allow me to take up another point that's connected to this, genderization from childhood. If you're born a girl or a boy, you are treated differently, and the expectations from the adults around you are completely different. As girl, you're expected to be always nice, always caring, never speak up, and and as a boy, no, stop crying and stop showing emotions, and no, that's not good. Boys are never hurt, and this is building up so much pain in the in adult life for both genders, and then um, being an empathetic such person, both men and women, we often have learned to give everything for others and to neglect ourselves, as you mentioned, Lori. And then all of a sudden people stand there and are completely drained out of energy and think, okay, I can fix this by giving even more. And so then, well, welcome burnout. And
I
that's
have a question here from one of
mm,
our viewers.
yes.
Maybe each of us can, because I'm like already thinking of answers, but that's me, and I need to take time to just
Yes.
be quiet and
Hey, I'm the
think.
same way.
But that's why maybe between the three of us, we will provide answers to this person. I love it. She's saying that
Hmm.
if there's a client who doesn't see his or her own issues, you still want to help, and air quotes, forcing to make them realize, or do you let them get on with their life and just interrupt if they come to you for help as
Hmm.
realizing something needs to change?
Beautiful and very important question. Thank you very much. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll let you go first, Christopher. You're a
Okay.
guest.
So here's my take on it, and see how this lands with you, dear guest and viewer. Thank you. Um, trying trying to force someone to realize something is for me personally, it's a no-go. I try to avoid that as good as I can. Of course, I'm not perfect either. Uh, so whenever the client is ready, the teacher will appear. So they will. It's basically it's like children. I see it with my own children. I tell them, no, don't do this. Do this instead. And they don't want to listen. Nah, no, I don't. Okay, so I could go on and whine and nag and say the same thing over again, or I will just wait. I know it has been taken in. It's in there somewhere in their brains, and when the time is right, it will pop up. And oh yeah, right. I remember Tammy or Lori told me this back in the, I don't know, half a year ago, when we were talking, and now I finally see it, and it will come. You can't force anything. So it is in there, and actually I would go even farther to say the client knows it already. The client knows the right answer, what's right and what's wrong. It's just the familiarity of
Yeah.
the current situation that keeps them in their track right now. But as soon as they slow down, as soon as they can look around and where in the universe am I anyway, then the insight will drop.
Yeah,
I
she's
hope I
agreeing
could.
with you. She's saying very true. Yes, the teacher appears when it's time, just planting the seeds. Just hard
Exactly.
to let it go and not helping, but all we can do is make them see that they will want the change themselves. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Wonderful. Yes. I hope I
So
could help there a little.
I would add that depending on this client, you need to let them know what you're thinking, set some boundaries. Because when she mentioned that, it reminds me of the alcoholic that's in denial for a long time. And it's until they hit rock bottom and they're ready for help. But you're there as a friend, but doesn't mean you're going out taking them drinking. You know, you're setting some boundaries here. And they know that then they can reach out to you, that you are there as a friend, that you still love them. You just don't condone what they're doing, or going. And sometimes I think people forget that they sometimes, I don't think they realize how angry they get, like you said, watching the news, how that affects their mental health. And sometimes we have to say, hey, knock that crap off. Don't need to treat me like that or treat others like that. So you're basically setting boundaries. It doesn't mean, and then you let them come to you, like you said, and when they're ready, for more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lori,
Yeah,
your
very
take.
good. She's already clapping, saying thank you. So if
Yes.
it's my take, I will be here for until tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Well, if you see my framework, where I work with my clients, and it's very, very similar to Tammy's and I work together, which is discover, experience, transform. And for me, it's believe, begin, and become. Believe, do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that you hiring me or contacting me to be your guide, your coach, your accountability partner in this process will work to take you to the next level? And will you begin to take action, which with Tammy and I, our framework together is experiencing, right? Are you willing to put the action for you to become? And become is not a destination, it's a process of transformation, which is Tammy's and I's, and then mine is becoming. And it's for there to be that camaraderie, that rapport that we're building, and as we are connecting and agreeing to work with each other, to then inspire them to reach higher because you as a coach sees a potential. We have seen many movies of coaches of team, of coaches of team in sports, that this coach comes in to make the team go to the next level, and this coach is hired to help these players to become better or more than what they are, because this person sees the potential in them. So we need to inspire them to reach higher and believe in the things you see as their strengths, so that then they start taking the action on working on those things and see their value in themselves. Also journaling, also these worksheets and exercises that help them understand and categorize certain things and understand where they're coming from when they probably don't believe they have a potential because of their upbringing and all those voices they hear in their heads or they heard at once upon a time, and kind of stuck there, creating these paradigms of negativity. And all of that, helping them explore what's holding them back to then propel them to move forward, is what I call also very gentle persuasion instead of like she asked, force them into. No, it's gentle persuasion for them to understand their potential. If they believe it, if they accept it and want to own it, it's just a beautiful process that can happen.
This brings me back to the what Julie was saying last week during the things. Ask them questions. Sometimes just asking them questions will help them realize what they're going through, and it will also help you realize what the situation, because maybe they're explaining something totally wrong. You know, sometimes it comes out wrong. So ask them questions to explain it more so you can make sure you're understanding them correctly as well.
Right. Exactly. Powerful questions. I've seen it so many times. I'm sure you have too. How just a question that suddenly comes from inside of you. I need to ask this now. And you ask this question, and suddenly the facial expression changes, and oh my God, I've never seen this like that, or I've never thought about this. And then, now a new door has opened, and let's explore what's behind that door. I love that. It's so rewarding.
It is. It's like one of the I was talking to someone yesterday, and I was telling her, because I wrote about values in my book, and I'm like, that's because when I hired my coach, they said, what values are your top values, for every day, and what would you want your team to be valued? What values do you want in your friends? And so it was a question that makes you start to think, because off the top of here, it is like, oh, integrity and these different things. But it's like, what are those values? What do you value the most? And so when you start thinking about that, and besides just personal, but in business and in friends and everything else, it's a deep question, really.
Yeah, thought-provoking
Yes.
questions can move mountains, and then can just tap into higher self, better knowledge and wisdom. And then tapping into those questions like, where is this coming from? Where is this idea? When did you first feel this way? What are the possibilities out there? What do you think is the highest thing you can accomplish? And what do you think why is that important? I mean, on and on and on. There's books on powerful questions. There's all kinds of questions we can ask, and definitely to tap into that inner wisdom that will help clients find those questions from within, those answers from within.
So now,
Exactly.
Christopher, did you just write a book? Was that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's called, I have it here, in fact, The Safety Method. It's
Love it. I can
slow
see it.
down is the main message and I was talking about that earlier. Slowing down is the first step of a 6-step method that I came up after working at a school here in Sweden, and it was a very problematic school. Well, not the school was problematic, but many of the students there, and the loving and engaging teachers were there, and there were basically burnout, all of them, and the infected communication between teachers and students, teachers and the students' homes, and then the whole situation was so tense that no one really could feel themselves anymore. And then one day I drove home from work, and I thought, this has to work. This has to stop. Something has to be done. And I drew up some steps, and I tried around with some words with it, and then out came the safety method. And every letter in safety is standing for one step in this method, to become aware of what's really happening.
Awesome. Can you give us a teaser? What does S stand for?
S is slow down. And that's the first step, to not react, to not go after our programming that we think is right, but to step out of the programming, step out of this thought pattern that we usually have, to try to fix things, but to do something else. And A is becoming aware of what is it that is here, what is it that is happening, and try to do that without labeling, without judging. Just what is, like in a school environment, for example, there's a student standing in front of me and yelling at me, or even threatening to throw a chair at me. Okay, is it in any way dangerous? Yeah, maybe. But these are those labels and thoughts that we put on there. But if we refrain from that and just seeing what is in this moment, and that can be already changing a lot, because we don't. Maybe this is exactly what the student wants us to do: to run away, to get scared, to get this situation for the student. Okay, again, someone is running away from me. Again, someone is not loving me. And so children, adults, we subconsciously create these situations that will contribute to our mind, the picture of our mind in our mind that we think is true. And then we pick these situations. See, I told you this would happen. I knew this is going to happen. I'm not worth being loved. I'm not worth being successful. I'm not worth being rich. All these things happen because we let our lives subconsciously go there, and so on. So
Right. Well, and
that's a
what's interesting what you
teaser.
said, is because I know I've worked with mental patients and I've dealt with gang members. And the worst thing you could ever do is run away.
Right.
You have to act like you're not afraid, even if you're shaking, you know, but you do it in kindness.
Yes.
Don't throw fuel on a fire, so you're always trying to take it down a level, but you stand your ground.
Exactly.
And people, don't realize it because, like you said, they're usually trying to get a reaction out of you to see how far they can go. So just a golden nugget. So if you're ever in that situation.
Yeah. And that's where the E in safety comes in. It stands for empathy. Empathetically take in, what can this really mean? Not what is it I first think of, but what is it really means. Look behind the mask of this person in this moment. Look behind the mask of the situation. Sorry. So it's yeah. So empathy is a huge ingredient in this, in basically everything. In my opinion, you can improve any situation with more empathy.
Yes. So now, do you teach at the school now, or you teach or homeschool?
No, I'm working from home right now. This school episode, this was before I started my business.
In the context of that student, Mr. Christopher, like what was it or that example or any other example with empathy, taking down those masks, right? That we want, the front or walls or layers of walls. What is usually behind those masks? What is it with those behaviors? There's loneliness, there's low self-esteem. What is the empathy? Does that help you identify some things and helps you with a better connection and understanding?
Oh, yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, from childhood, we want to be loved. We want to be nurtured. We want to have food. We want to have we want to feel safe. And we do anything in what's in our possibilities to get that. As a child, we scream, right? Give me food, give me love. My stomach hurts. Um, help me. I'm lonely. I'm scared. And then whatever happens in your life and whatever programming you're taking in, then you do this later in critical situations. You lash out against colleagues. You're a bully. You're having a mental breakdown of whatever sort. Basically, you're saying, "I want to be loved. I am scared," and so it doesn't help if we get angry to this person even more. It will never help. But well, of course, step one is to calm down the situation. If the student is aggressive, physically aggressive, okay, to help him, herself, not harm themselves or others, then of course there may be some sort of fixation. But then when the situation has come down and someone is open for talking, and then how did it feel? How did it feel in you? What triggered you? What emotions were in you? Where in your body were the emotions? What color does the emotion have? Does it have a smell? Does it have a taste? And then we come back into ourselves, right? And sometimes when I worked with traumatized refugee children, we checked out our body. We just clapped around all our body. Oh yeah, these are my boundaries. This is where I start and end. And it's a small thing, but it's so powerful to get back into ourselves, to land and feel this is I. What do I need is the next step. What do I need right now to calm down, to take the next step? What is good for me?
So it's great that you're especially working with, I think, teachers, just because they can get burnout so easy. It reminds
Mhm.
me of, I was subbing, and this was many years ago, for, I think it was in 7th and junior high class, 7th and 8th grade. And the teacher, you could tell, did not like the kids in her class, because she said, "I hate this class," in front of the class. They drive me insane.
Oh my God.
And so, and I had them for a
Oh.
week, right? And I knew these two boys were kind of trouble, and she'd warned me. And so what I did is I asked to meet them for lunch. And we sat down.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm like, "What's going on, you guys?" Because I was used to
Mhm.
working with youth in youth group. So
Mhm.
that was what my specialty was dealing with problems. So I'm like, "What is going on with you guys? Why are you so full of anger? Why do you do these things?" Ask them
Mm.
the questions. Well, their dad had been found out. Their dad had been murdered a year before,
Oh.
and their
Mm,
mom was having brain surgery. They
that's intense.
had no idea if she
Whoa.
was going to live or not, but not one counselor, the principal, nobody knew this was going on, because they
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
take the time just to ask the question, why? Why are you acting this way? Because they had told me, when you looked back through grades, they were great students before this, but why all of a sudden these boys picking on others, bullying, all of these different
Mm.
things? And it came back to just asking that one question. And so of course, once I found out, I let the rest of the school know what was going on, the principal and the counselor. And it was, and their attitudes changed, because they knew somebody cared enough
Yes.
to ask. And they were great students for me. I had
Mhm.
no problems,
Yeah.
but I always found that whenever there was a problem student, to nip it in the
In
first
the butt.
place, make them my kid to help out, assistant or whatever. And it
Mhm.
changed their personality.
Tam,
Yes.
Aika is saying, hugging you fiercely from afar. They were so lucky to have you in their life. And Aika also says it feels important. It is important to be empathetic in all situations, but not
Mhm.
to confuse empathy with allowing others to treat us badly, which is very
Very
true
true,
as well.
Ika.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Big thumbs up to
Yes.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we agree.
Thank you, Tammy, for this beautiful uh, his story there, because it just shows there's so much more behind the facade, and there I've seen this also not only with teachers and students, but with their parents. Um, Many parents are completely up in the
Up
roof
there.
out of it, because they don't know anymore how they can handle a situation with their child, or the school says, okay, your child does this and that in school, and they the parents don't recognize their child because the child has completely different behavior at home. It happens many times, and it depends on how where does the child feel safe to do this, and everything like that's happening is basically a crying out for help. And thank you, Tammy, that you were willing to listen to these boys. It's so beautiful, and I would like just just imagine what you could do, even listening to the mother that is, I guess, uh very concerned about their boys, doesn't have the energy right now to take
Mhm.
care of them.
Yeah.
And where can she turn? Where can she find help? And here in Sweden, I don't know how it is in the States, but here in Sweden, it's hard to get help for parents. You have a long waiting list to get counseling. Many schools have cut out the counseling at all because they don't have enough funding. So that's a very sad situation, and I don't see that this is going in a good way right now, especially with everything that's happening around us in the world. I mean, I had when I was working at the school I mentioned, I had this 9-year-old girl suddenly coming up to me and saying, "I'm so scared. I'm so scared." She was crying, and then we sat down, and uh, she told me she watched the news, and these were children's news, by the way, adapted for children. And what is happening? They were so scared that Putin is going to invade Sweden. What? Where do? How can anyone say that in children's TV? Children are. This is so wrong, and so there we
The
are.
concept of children's news is it's worrisome to me.
It should be happy news. Children are should never be worried about anything negative because they're children. They should grow up in a safe environment. They should uh, feel safe wherever they go. They
Yes.
soon enough they will learn something else. Okay, but then they're better prepared. Not a 9-year-old. Oh my God. And it's so sad, of course. And yeah, it's
Well, look how much
there's so
fear
much
is
work to
on the
do.
regular news that scares adults. So you can
Yes.
imagine if a child hears it, and it's
Yeah.
like you said, a lot of it's made up, so we don't even know the truth anymore,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
really, really sad. So that's why
Right.
we say turn off that TV and go outside, right?
Yeah.
Or read a book,
Cut out
draw,
news. Yeah. Cut
you
out
know,
news altogether. I think
Read
that's
Christopher's book or Tammy's book or my
or
book.
your book.
So Aika says children are like little sponges. They absorb a lot and it does affect them. And she also says the same with anything from racism to bullying. Kids don't discriminate until they are modeled that behavior or they're
exactly.
told some news. And with that,
Hmm.
Christopher, I'm glad you bring that in, and I'm sure it has a soft spot in your heart. And Tammy and I are hosting a parent teen connection adventure in Puerto
Oh.
Rico in January of 2025 and March of 2025. Great
Oh wow.
opportunity for parents and teens to connect and bond at at a deeper level in a beautiful setting in the Caribbean. I've been talking
Oh,
to a
wow.
lot of parents that are liking the idea of this and are asking me questions, friends. And it's just amazing how there's even a disconnect with families that are not undergoing as critical situations as the one you have described here. And it doesn't have to be a critical situation for us to feel very disconnected from our teenagers and our children. And this is an opportunity for you to discover, experience, and transform a parent-teen connection in a beautiful setting in Puerto Rico. So you guys watching, go to our website, Unlocking Freedom in Nature, and check on the Puerto Rico adventure. And there's all the details there. Tammy and I are excited to offer and host this event to make differences for those who cannot attend our adventures. We want to also remind you that we have this adventures in a very encapsulated, intensive way in a week or whatever it is that we have for you as an adventure, that we can travel and have fun in a beautiful place and setting. But also we offer this same information and tools and personal development tools in a coaching program. Check out also our coaching programs for you as an individual, for you as a parent teen, or any connections, relationship connections. Tammy, you've been married for how long?
43 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go
Congratulations.
in December,
Thank you.
31 years. So you do the math.
Oh,
That's
wow.
72 years of marriage that we have to combine. Tammy with
Wonderful.
the love of her life, me with the love of my life. I have 8 children. Tammy has two amazing daughters, and we want to offer, or we have been trained by amazing coaches and trainers from around the world. So we want to impart and save you time, save you hardship and heartache in with our programs and our coaching programs and adventures. So check it out. And I'm sure you can check out now also Christopher's book that will help you slow down and become a better
Christopher,
person.
you have a coaching program as well, correct? So especially those that are there, you can check it out.
Yes, thank you very much for mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And be sure to put it in the links, Christopher. So I put your website, I believe, on one of the posts. So
yes, you did.
they can
Thank
check
you
you
for
out.
that.
The important thing is for us to know that if our style or our situation is not the same and Christopher is the coach for you, there you go. You have another resource to count on. So it's so beautiful that in this group, there's so many resources, so much help. We can help each other grow. We can learn from each other too. And we are happy you were here as a guest, Christopher. It's been amazing how you have enlightened us with your calming ways, and thank you so much. And our viewers, I'm sure, have enjoyed and will enjoy as they watch the recording. And remember to share this information if you got something out of it. Yes, she's asking if we have coaching websites for our own services. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, if you just go
Wonderful.
to our unlockingfreedominnature.com. It has our different coaching programs that we have. And then we also have patron accounts set up for membership. So where we even meet once a month on some of those different levels. So personalized coaching, just so we can listen to you. So if you have questions that way too. So, but anyway, hey, I was going to throw this out there. We will not be here next Tuesday. I am actually taking a vacation, and so is Lori. Normally we would actually do this, but I have to have 2 screens in order to do our Facebook Live anymore. So we are taking the next few weeks off. So
we know as entrepreneurs and leaders and coaches and all that in this industry that we need to sharpen the saw. We offer great content for you all year, and it's time for us to sharpen the saw with family and friends in this beautiful Christmas and holiday season. So we wish you the best with Thanksgiving if you're from the US, or if you're celebrated, and Christmas too, but we're coming back before Christmas, right?
Oh yeah, we have 2 amazing guests. Of course, one of them is somebody that you guys have been asking to get back because our Facebook Live had messed up. So she will be here in December. And so we have 2 amazing guests. You will not want to miss that. So, and I hope all of you have a wonderful week this week. And thanks again, Christopher, for being here. Bye, everyone.
Thank you yourself. Bye-bye.